Hi Shik fans, now we're back on another long moves made problem, and this time finally I'm gonna present the longest made problem in this world at the present. So first up, let me talk about the history of long made problems after Kouji's 611 move problem with the title Long Life, which is what I have presented in the previous video. Kouji's Long Life was the longest moves problem for pretty long, nearly for 200 years. And it was not until 1955 that its record was broken by a problem that has 873 moves. And then only 27 years after that, in 1982, even longer one, 941 move made was composed. Well, but it's not the end of the story. We have even longer one today. 4 years later, in 1986, there came this incredible number 1,519 moves to mate. It's the first to achieve a 4-digit number, and it's named with the title of Microcosmos by its composer. His name is Kouji Hashimoto, and moreover in 1995, Hashimoto published a revised version of Microcosmos, extending the number to 1,525 moves. And yes, it's the longest one we have on Earth today, which is what I'm going to try to present here. And before I prepare to make this video, I made contact to Hashimoto-san to ask him if it's okay to present his masterpiece in my video. I was lucky enough to find his email address on his website and emailed him. He replied to me really quickly saying it's okay, and I also found out that he has even watched some of my videos before. I was glad to know that. So I really appreciate his permission for me to make this video, so I'll try my best to explain how deliberately this incredible made problem is designed. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so the first move here is this pawn promotion for a king runs, and then you make this knight sack, so king takes it, and then can move the promoted pawn over to 6a here. Well, because the king side can't take it, if he does, this check comes up. So you see, it's a simple checkmate. So promoted pawn to 6a works here. King will have to run. Well, he'll go to 5b, but promoted pawn goes ahead from the left. So king goes back to 6b. Well, he doesn't want to get too near to the promoted pawn. We can just take this one, and I see you can go ahead with the promoted pawn. Pawn drop. You see this covered attack by the lance. So it's a simple checkmate, right? Okay, so the king moves to 6b. Now here, what we have created in this area, the gold, the promoted pawns and lance, these are like a conveyor belt. We're going to use it to move the king to the left and to the right, over and over. Yeah, it's a golden belt. Now from here, promote the knight, king runs, but then, well, you're not going to take these metal pieces. You just move the promoted pawn to 7d here, so the king can take the promoted knight, but you make this double check by the lance. So the king runs, and you can't make this check because this horse is defending there. So what you do here is to make this covered attack by promoted pawn, blocking the horse's defense. So the king side will have to drop his knight. He only has 2 knights, so he has to drop a knight to 8c. So promoted pawn moves over, king runs. Alright, so now the position you see in this area now is pretty important. So look at this position carefully and also pay attention to these pieces in their hands. The knight here and a pawn is here, and watch carefully what happens in the several moves after this. Now you drop a pawn here to 6c. The king will have to move to the side. This covered check doesn't work. The lance can be taken. So silver drop, king runs to here, and it's no mate. So So you take the knight, king runs, and just cover the attack. Knight block, promoted pawn checks, and king runs. Alright, so you notice something. The position here is exactly the same, but you see the knight is here, and the pawn is here. So this technique is one of the key in this problem. You exchange the pieces in their hands. So after you do so, now you're going to start moving the golden belt with promoted pawn to 6a. We know he can't take it, but it's a little bit different this time. The horse is defending these areas, so after gold drop, let's say he takes it, so but well, knight drop is the fastest. Bishop drop. Right, he has to drop a gold. You can take it. Checkmate. So, well, these moves are not important. Basically, kingside can't take these promoted pawns. Right, and promoted pawn to 5a from the right. The king keeps going to the right. Oh, this time the horse can also take it, but oh, he doesn't want to take it. But he doesn't have to anyway. He can take this one, so he take it. So anyway, basically it's the same checkmate we have here. So these prominent pawns won't be taken anyway, so the king goes ahead. Okay, after a king has come to 3b, well, he can't go to this way. I can drop a knight and see. That's simple. So the king goes to the side, so the conveyor belt goes ahead. The king can only go to the side, and here you're gonna make this knight sacrifice to 2d, and he'll take it. Well, you can also make this check here, but if you do that now, the king will run to here, and it's not gonna be a mate. So you have to bring the king over to here to make this sacrifice, and then you move the conveyor belt again to bring the king to 2b, and you take this pawn by the dragon, checking, and he'll block it with a pawn. Oh, by the way, if he blocks it with a knight, it's gonna be a pretty easy mate, because you see, after you bring the king to the left side, look at this. If you make the same moves, he doesn't have a knight to block here, so it's a very simple mate. Okay, so he'll block with a pawn, and now you move the conveyor belt, and look at here. Now the king side has a knight, the attacker side has a pawn, so the pieces have been exchanged again. So let's exchange them. Right now, let's move the king to the right, and here you're gonna make this brilliant knight sack again. So the promoted pawn will take it, and then you move the king to here, and you take the promoted pawn by the dragon, and he'll block it with a pawn. Yes. Now notice that the dragon was first here, and then we have moved that to here, right? And then we've moved it to here. Why did we bother to do that? Now if we go back to the 31st move, you could also try this knight sack, and if he takes it, you see, it's the same thing. The dragon can come over to 3d with only one move, but actually if you make that knight check, the king can run to 3c, and it doesn't work. So that's why we had to bring the dragon over to 2d first, and then make this knight check. Okay, so pawn block. Okay, so let's bring the king back to the left side. Well, the reason is we have to exchange the pawn and the knight again here. So now we've managed to eliminate the promoted pawn that was here. So that's one point. Now what we're going to do here is bring the dragon back to the second file with this knight sack. You see the dragon come over to the second file. Right, so the knight has gone back to king size piece stand. So let's take it back by bringing the king to the left side, exchanging with a pawn. Right, so you got a knight, so you can now make this knight sack to 1d. Well, now you know the reason of these moves. You wanted to make these moves because now the lance will have to take it. You wanted to take this lance by the dragon. And yes, pawn block. Right now, once again, notice that we have moved the dragon from here to here like before, one by one. So why bother to do that? So if we go back to the 88th move, instead of making that knight sack to 2d, we could also bring the king to over here and directly drop the knight to here. And oh, he can't take this one, by the way. You see, the checkmate. So so it seems this direct knight sack can work, but after the lance takes it, you try to bring the king to the first file, but the king can now go to here, 1c, and it's not going to be a mate. So that's why we had to move the dragon first to second file to prevent that king's move to 1c. So let's go back to 123rd move. Yep, pawn block. So we have moved the dragon one by one. Okay, so after that, you're gonna bring the king back to the left side again. So from lance moves, king goes ahead. Oh, by the way, the king side can't take this one. Dragon check. Now he'll block it with a lance, but he can take it. And you see this this cover check by the lance. So he takes it. Okay, so lance drop. See, checkmate. He can also block it with a knight. With the same thing. This cover check. Lance drop. Knight drop. It's cool. So as I've said, this golden conveyor belt won't be taken. Right now, now you're seeing something new here. You have a lance in your hand and a knight. But what we're gonna do is the same thing. You're gonna exchange them to get a knight. So lance drop. You take this knight. And he takes the lance, but this cover check. A knight block. So you see the pieces have been exchanged. Right, and by the way, in this case, the king side has a lance, so you can also block it by a lance. But it's gonna be an all-you mate. It's a little bit difficult, but you see, let's move the king to here. And here, after you make this knight sack and make a dragon check, he doesn't have a pawn now, so he has to block it with a knight. And basically, if he ever blocks the dragon check by a knight, it's gonna be an all-you mate, even if this lance is being involved in the piece exchange. So you're gonna see why. You see, you make these moves, and he'll block it with a knight, but you make these moves again until you can get a knight. And well, this time he has a lance, so he can keep dropping a piece to block. But when a knight is here, you're gonna see the difference. Because, well, but it's a little bit long moves. You see, you have to do all those things again. Oh, he's not gonna use this knight to here. If he does that, he's not gonna have any piece to drop to HC anymore. So he'll drop a pawn, but Well, you see, after you take a knight, look at this. It's a knight, so checkmate. Alright, so the thing is, at this position, he can't drop a lance to block here, nor can he use his knight anywhere on these squares, okay? So he'll have to drop a knight to block, as always. So you see, now we have exchanged the lance and the knight. So you got a knight, so you can use it again in the right side. And well, the reason you bother to do all these moves is this. After the dragon check, right, he's gonna have to block it with a lance. Okay, and then, right, you bring the king to the left again, because you need to get a knight in your hand. And well, you notice something, this lance, where was this lance at the beginning? Well, right, it was here. And after all these long moves, the lance has just moved to here. It's like some kind of magic. And you know, we really need to move this lance to the side if we want to mate this king. You're gonna see the reason later. So let's go ahead. Piece exchange. And you drop a knight here. And bring the dragon to the third file. Right, another knight sack. Now the lance will have to take it. And then, look at this. You get the lance again. Okay, now you're gonna exchange the lance and the knight here. Oh, by the way, I forgot to explain this. When the king side first got hold of a lance here, but I'm gonna show it to you anyway here. When this conveyor belt start moving, the moves after the king takes it will be a bit different when he has a lance, because if you simply make this gold check, he can run, because this dragon check will be blocked with this lance drop. But in this case, you have a really cool move. It's this knight sack. The horse will take it, and then you drop a gold. It's really cool. And if the horse takes it, it's the same thing as what we've seen before. So the king runs. This square is better for him. But you see, now you can take this horse, and this is gonna be a mate. But it's a really long one. And I'm not gonna show you this branch. It's gonna be dozens of moves. The king will move all the way to this right area of the board. And it's not really important here. So let's cut it off. Oh well, not important is too much to say. It's really important that it is a mate. You know, it shows how deliberately this problem is made. So, right, this golden belt won't be taken. Right, so knight drop. And then, look at the dragon check. And right, the lance drop. Now the lance has moved from here to here first, and then to here. Well, a lance can move to side, basically. But now we're seeing that. It's really cool. Alright, so now here comes this question. Why do we bother to do this? Why do we have to move the lance to the side like that? Well, you're going to see the reason really soon. Then you move the king to the left side again. You move the dragon to the second file. And now you can drop a knight to 3D, lance takes, and then you bring the king to 2B. Now the next move you're going to see is one of the critical moments in this problem. Now I'd like you to take a look at the bottom left corner. Now there's a horse actually here, but it's now blocked by your own pawn. And here finally you open that pawn to 7F, making a discovery check by the horse. And all these moves we've done so far was all meant to make this move to activate the horse. Okay, so now I'm gonna have to explain why we've had to move the lands from the first file to the second file and then to the third file. Well, the reason is, at this position, Kingside has this option of pushing the pawn to 4D, and if he does so, this is gonna be a mate only when the lance is on the third file, like this. Well, if you made this horse check when lance wasn't here, say it was a pawn, lance was in either of these squares, let's say here. Now, if so, after this pawn push, you can't mate this king. But now that we have a lance in the third file, well, this is a mate. After this dragon check, pawn block, and move the king to here, and you can drop this lance you've just got to force you into checkmate. So this is why we need to move the lance to the third file before you make this horse check. So this pawn push on 4D doesn't work for the king side at this position. Now what else can he do? And if I were to show you the main line first, it's promoted pawn to 4D. But what happens if well, he moves it to this way? Well, then you can just take it. And now you've got an extra pawn, so you can also take this lance. So now that you have two pieces in your hand, it's gonna be a bit different. I can draw a pawn here. You can drop another piece to here. So actually, you have this really cool knight sack. You'll have to take it with the horse to keep defending the 7C square. You see, double check, and you can take this horse. So actually, it's a mate, okay? Right, now what else? Well, if he uses a knight to block, well, simply that he has lost a knight, so you see, he'll have to drop a lance to block. So that means he's gonna have to drop a knight to block against a dragon check later. You know what I mean? See? So it's gonna be an auto mate. So I've told you, dropping a knight here would be an auto mate. So this doesn't work for the king side either. So the only option for the king side is promote a pawn to 4D. Well, in this case, you can't take this one. It's going to be recaptured by the gold, and it's defending a lance. So it's no mate. So after this move, you bring the king to the left again. And actually, you can take this lance now, because if he takes it, it's simple checkmate, right? So he'll block it with a pawn. Now you've got a lance in your hand. Right, now that you made this horse check, the next target is actually, you want to put this lance to this first file again by all those long moves again. So let's just go pretty quick. Right, now the lance has come to the second file. Oh, he can also take it with this promoted pawn, but it's gonna be an argument starting from this dragon sack. And then you bring the king to the left to get a knight. So this piece exchange. And then you can make this check with the help of this horse's diagonal. So here is gonna be a checkmate. So he can only take it with the pawn. Okay, now finally lance has come to the first file to 1C. Now why did we have to do this? Now I'm going to show you the reason. We have to get the knight again, so let's go another lap. You make this knight sack, and then after the pawn takes it, okay, pay attention to this horse again. is going to move now to 8i, making this check. Right now, in order to make this horse check effective, you have to bring the lance back to the first file again. And the reason is, well, before I tell you the reason, let me talk about what happens if the kingside block set on 3D with any piece, golden dragon sack, and this double check. So it's a simple checkmate. Okay. And we know that blocking with a knight doesn't work as in the previous horse check. So the best move for the king side is promoted pawn to 4e. And well, actually taking it with the horse doesn't work this time, because after you get this extra pawn, you try to move the king to the left with this move. And if he goes to the left side, yes, it's gonna be a mate with the similar moves we've seen earlier. But in this case, the king can take it. Although you can make this dragon check, he can drop this bishop to block, and actually this is a no mate. So sacrificing the horse here doesn't work. So after this promoted pawn to 4e, you'll try to bring the king to the left again, starting from this promoted lances move. But well, this is where I'm going to show you the reason why we've had to bring the lance over to the first file again. The reason is, if this lance was a pawn and the lance was in other squares, let's say it was here, it doesn't really matter. In this case, the king can take this lance and this would be no mate. But in this case now, the lance is on 1c, so you can take it, and you see now you can drop that lance you just got to here and it will be a mate. So this is the reason why we had to bring the lance to the first file. So now once again the king can't take this golden belt, so he has to go to the left again. Right, so now I think it's time for me to tell you what this problem is all about. Instead of just showing you the moves from here, I think I would rather tell you what's gonna happen in the next couple of hundred moves, and that is what we're gonna try to do next is to bring this horse again to this diagonal, making a check again. So what do you have to do to make it happen? I'm sure you know the answer. Right, you have to bring the lance back to the third file again before you make that horse check, right? And those who've been watching my other videos of famous mate problems, I'm sure you're starting to see what the feature of this problem concerning this horse's move. Yes, right, actually this is a horse saw. We've seen some horse saw features in my other videos, right? But an ordinary horse saw is just a sequence of horse moves, consecutive moves. Horse moves, king runs, horse moves, king runs, horse moves, king runs. But this problem is not that simple. It's a combination of different features in a single problem, and that's exactly how the mating moves is made really long. So in the next moves, we're gonna move the lance to 3c and let it take a knight to 3d. So let's go really fast. Right now, finally the lance has moved to the third file. Okay, here, knight drop to 3d. Now the lance has to take it. Alright then. Yeah, let's say the next one. Horse to 8h and promoted pawn for d again. Right, now let me describe the feature of this problem in a bit of a mathematical way. So basically this problem has 4 features in it. We have this piece exchange feature, exchanging the pawn or the lance with the knight, and also we have this conveyor belt feature, and right, the side moves of lance and dragon, and finally the horse saw features in this area. And if we name these features by the letter A, B, C, and D, this problem can be described as brace A plus B multiplied by C and D. So this is the structure of how this problem is made. Alright, and actually, after you made that discovery check with the horse from here, we have made 340 moves just for bringing the horse to here and then to here. Now in the moves from here, we're gonna have to move the horse to here and here. So that means we need another 340 moves, and then we go ahead with another 340 moves to bring the horse finally to 6F. So the next 680 moves is going to be a repetition of the move sequences we've already seen. So let me just play it with time lapse. Just keep watching how this lance moves to the side and how this horse keep approaching to the king, okay? Okay, the horse moved to 7H. Here we go, the horse moved to 7G. Okay, now this is the 1000th move. King to 4B. Okay, horse check again. Horse to 6G. Okay, now we've come all the way to here. Finally, horse to 6F. Now the number of moves is 1305. And you see, now this horse solve feature is over. It can't go any further because this square 5F is being protected by this silver. So from here, finally, we'll go into the concluding moves. Yeah, the final mating moves. And in order to go into that moves, you have to bring the lance back to the first file again. So let's just do it. Okay, finally we've managed to bring the lance over to 1C, but the preparation for the mating moves is not yet made. After we have brought the lance to here, now we have to move the dragon to 3D before we go into that mating moves. So right, let's just do that. Okay, now here we have brought the dragon over to 3D, but now we need one more preparation to make, and that is you have to get a knight in your hand. So you already know how we can do that. Right, the piece exchange. So let's go for it. And let's move the king over to the right side. Right now the number of moves is 1496. And here the stage for the final moves is being prepared. The mating moves can only take place when the lance is here and the dragon is here and the horse is here. And of course you have to have a knight in your hand. So finally, let's see the mating moves here. You start by knight drop to 1D, of course. Lance will take it. And then you move the promoted pawn to 2A. And here, the king will move to 1B. Because if he moves to 1C, it's going to be an earlier mate with the similar moves to what you're going to see from now. So king to 1B is the best he can. But here, you're going to finally sacrifice this dragon on 9C to 8B, taking the pawn, and then if the gold takes it, you can drop a pawn to 1C and let the king come over to the C rank anyway. And here you're seeing the reason why we had to move the dragon to 3D before we go into these moves, because if the dragon was on 2D, this pawn drop would be a mate with a dropped pawn, so this pawn drop is only possible when the dragon is on 3D. So the king will take it, and then you make this knight check to 2E. He'll take it with the silver, Okay, and then this is where you'll see the reason why we had to bring the lance over to the first file, because now you can take the lance by lance to 1D, and you see, clear off the pieces, you abandon the dragon, yeah, the key piece for this problem, and then look at this, you're gonna use that lance you've just got from 1D to 1F, and then the king will run, with silver drop, king runs, and now you can take the silver with this promoted pawn. Okay, now finally this is where you see the reason why we had to bother to bring the horse all the way to here on 6F, because if the king takes it, it's gonna be a mate with this gold check with the help of this horse. So you see, it's a simple checkmate. So this line is an other mate. So the king won't take this promoted pawn. He'll go to a 2F, attacking the silver, but you're gonna see a really cool move here. You're gonna use this horse again, and it's this horse sacrificed to 4H. He just has to take it, but you see, now you have sacrificed 2 dragons and the horse too. Really cool. Now promoted pawn can make this check, so the king runs. Okay, 5 more moves. Silver drop, king runs, you take the gold, king recaptures, and this is the final move. Gold dropped to 2I, checkmate with 1525 moves. Well done. So thank you very much for watching these really long moves. I hope you enjoyed it. Now take care and see you next time.